Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Berg. I'm here to talk about my story about addiction. Um, I started using drugs and alcohol at a very young age. I was when I first started smoking marijuana. I was, I believe, I was 8 years old, and I was smoking medicinal marijuana or marijuana on the daily, not medicinally, with my father. My father was the one that introduced me to marijuana, and it just progressed from there. By the age of 12, I was using other substances like drinking alcohol, um, and then I was in a accident when I was 12 years old. I was struck by a truck at a crosswalk. It was his fault. I was hit on my bicycle, and I was taken to the hospital by ambulance, and I broke my back and fractured my uh, pelvis bone and broke my leg, and so I began taking oxycodone. Um, and I took it properly for many years, and then I started abusing it, and getting scripts for 80 milligram pills and crushing them, snorting them, eating them. And we all know about the opiates and what they do to us when we don't have any left, right? The withdrawal. And I also started, I was a chronic alcoholic at the age of 12, smoking marijuana daily, doing cocaine, smoking crack cocaine, um, magic mushrooms, ecstasy, um, and then in high school, I met my first wife and the mother of my two children. And when I first met her, I quit using drugs. I was just smoking marijuana. After that, I didn't touch any other drugs because I was happy. And well, we had the odd drink and a little bit of coke at parties, but that we were using it recreationally at that time. I wasn't back in my addiction with it. And I was still taking oxycodone, but I was taking it properly. And then we started having our issues, and I started abusing it more and more. And by the age of 22, I because what happened is when my kids were born, I quit using drugs, and my first wife said, Andrew, if I catch you doing coke or smoking crack, me and the kids are going to go live with my grandmother, and we're going to stay in the house where we were living, and you have 6 months to get your stuff together, or you lose us. So I said, yeah, no problem, right? And my daughter was born, and things were good for about the first 6 months, and then I started smoking crack again, and I was doing it secretly, and then my ex-wife caught me at a crack shack, walked in and pulled me out of there and took me home and said, we're done. I'm going to my grandmother's. You got 6 months to get clean and sober. If you want us, it's us or the dope. You pick. So I got clean again, and she came back home in 3 months. She actually found a new apartment, and it was at Christmas time, and there was a card. She got me a Christmas card with a gift, and inside the card it said, "Welcome home." you can come home now, honey. Love, Jesslyn, Haley, and Jaden. And she's like, but we're moving out of that house that we're living in because the landlord was an addict herself and, was screwing up on the rent and blowing it on dope and then saying we weren't paying rent when we did. And so we packed up the house and we moved to the new apartment just down the street and about a block away from where we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. One room was the kids, and it was my daughter's room, and our son, Jaden, was just a baby at that time, and we had the bassinet in our room, and yeah. So at the age of 22, me and Jesslyn divorced. I caught her cheating on me, and I packed a suitcase and took half the money and left. And anyway, that was really hard on me because I was clean and sober at that time, and I was on the methadone maintenance program at that time because I went to Phoenix Detox Center in Kamloops. I only had 3 months left to live because my liver and kidneys were shutting down, and Dr. Baker, he's pretty known around Canada, and he no longer practices in methadone maintenance program or as a doctor. He retired, but he was a very good man, and he helped me. And he said, I looked at your history of trying to come off oxycodone with Cogentin and a couple other medications that are non-narcotic, and you've had zero success. He's like, so I'm going to put you on methadone. I'm not saying it's going to save your life, but it just might. And so they started me off on 180 mils of methadone and sent me back home to spend the remainder of my life with my family. And it did save my life. I made it past the 6 month period, and I was still alive. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm out of the woods, and I am 31 today. So I was supposed to die when I was 22, and I'm 31 today. Now, when I was 22, I got in trouble with the law. I committed a crime and tried to kill myself. I jumped off a bridge and got search and rescue, got me out, and I was detained on the spot for the crime that I committed and took into city cells for a week with no call to a lawyer, which is illegal, but it was what it was, and I was sick, mentally sick at that time too, and they the judge ruled me out guilty but insane at that time in my life, and I was placed for my sentence was 2 years in a psychiatric facility and another year and a half to 2 years in a psychosocial rehabilitation center for mentally ill and addicted people and called Harbor House. And so that's what happened. I did my time and I was released on extended leave, and then a year later you're taken off extended leave because you're back in the community with outreach workers that check up on you and one-on-one counseling and stuff like that, right? So, and group therapy like RPG, Relapse Prevention Group, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. So I stayed clean and sober for almost 15 years without any slips or relapses or anything, without any methadone or Suboxone or anything. And then I met my second wife, Michelle Olson, and everything happened so quick. She was also early in recovery, and I had 15 years clean and sober. I was the treasurer of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was the GSR, the General Service Representative of Narcotics Anonymous, which is the head service position you can have in the program. And I sponsored doctors and nurses from the hospital because I was also in university at the time to be a drug and alcohol counselor, which I am today. I'm also an outreach support worker. I also work with abused women and children, and I also specialize with working with domestic violence that happened to men only. And I've worked for mental health and addictions for 12 years. I also have a certificate in ASSIST, which is Applied Suicide Intervention. I also have my mental health first aid. I've been trained 12 times in Narcan, which is for fentanyl prevention overdose program. Crisis line intervention. I worked a crisis line local and Kootenai Boundary Regional crisis line, like Kelowna, Vernon, all the surrounding areas of the Kootenays. I also worked at a suicide hotline and an urgent response, mental health urgent response team, which are in bigger communities like Kelowna, Vernon, and stuff like that. It's a special team of counselors, doctors, that instead of the police showing up to the calls, it's a special team of mental health care professionals. They're like police. They still have a real gun, but they only have one real gun, and the rest of their weapons are tasers and beanbag guns and rubber bullets, and they have hostage negotiators and so forth. Anyway, I met my second wife. We both were going to meetings. That's where I met her, at McDonald's, where she was working. I've known her from my childhood because she dated my twin brother before me. That might sound kind of sick to you guys, but I don't care. I treated her very well. I loved her. I had kids with her. They died because she was using drugs and alcohol, and I was unaware of it. I was busy working 6 government jobs at that time, and I wasn't at home watching her. And she was also very abusive to me domestically, raped me, and tried to kill me in the end. And we are no longer together anymore. But in that relationship, in the 7-8 months that we were together, like living together and married and stuff, we were together much longer than that because I kept running back. She kept coming back home, and I kept forgiving her and getting abused all over again for about 4 years. So 4 years and 7 months in total. So we were up at her mother's one day, and I was on morphine at that time because when I was in psychiatric ward for my crime, I was put into seclusion for longer than what you're supposed to be in there. You're only supposed to be in seclusion for 24 hours, and then you have to be brought out, assessed, to see if you can be around the other patients. If you're a safety hazard or you're in danger to yourself or others, then you go back into seclusion. But they bring you out every 12 hours to assess you, and bring you out of there because you'll go crazy. Okay, and they left me in there for about a week without bringing me out and stuff, which is illegal, and I did sue them for it, but I snapped and I crushed my ankles in seclusion by kicking the cement walls and doors, because at the psychiatric ward, it's padded now because I designed it. And being on the advisory council of mental health and addictions, that's where you make decisions and choices and group discussions with healthcare providers of what needs to change in our medical system, and we make those changes happen. But we were up at her mom's one day, and she's like, I want to get high. And I'm like, no, we'll go to a meeting tonight. Don't worry about it. Just relax. What can I do to make you? Let's go home. Let's go back to your mom's house. Have a shower, relax, have something to eat. You know, you're probably, what are the stages? Angry, tired, lonely. You know, and if you're those things when you're an addict, you're at high risk for relapse. And she's like, no, give me a morphine. And I said, Michelle, no, you're not getting a morphine. It's just not happening. And anyway, she's like, let's go for a walk. And I'm like, why? Like, and her being abusive and controlling and manipulative and wanting to be in control, we went for a walk and she attacked me. And, you know, and then she's like, give me a morphine. And I was like, no, get off me and get away from me. And she ran down the hill and started hitchhiking. And the very first car that went by picked her up. And she's like, I'm going to a dope house. And I was like, well, I'm going to go down and kick every dope house in town, store down until I find you to get you out of there. I said, you won't be able to find me, she says. So I was like, I will be able to find you. And the very first house I hit, kicked the door down, she was there in the bedroom. And the guy came running up, who are you? And I'm like, my name's Andrew Douglasberg, man. I'm like, I'm a counselor. My wife's in your bedroom doing dope. Get her out here now. And he's like, no, well, come in. I'm like, yeah, I'm in, man. And I shut the door and went in the bedroom. And I was looking at her, and her eyes were huge and dilated. And I was like, so what's going on, Michelle? Ready to go home? And she's like, no, I'm not done yet. I'm like, so you want to do dope, eh? I'm like, you want to party, eh? You want to get high, eh? I said, well, let's get high. Let's do dope. I had $1,000 on me. So I busted $500 out. Threw it on the table. I said, where's the dope, man? You know, thinking it was like coke or something like that, or something I've done before. And he busts this substance out that's crystally in shards in a bag. And he's like, there's $500 worth, man. And I'm like, what's this? And Michelle's like, Andrew, no, please don't. I'm like, what is this, man? And he's like, it's crystal meth. I've never touched crystal meth in my life. I'm like, so how do you do this? And he's like, well, you can snort it or smoke it or shoot it. And I'm like, I'm not shooting it, and I'm sure the hell not snorting it. I said, I want to smoke it. And I said, don't worry, Michelle, I'm going to give some to you, and you're going to get high too. We're going to party. Because I gave up. I was just done, right? Like, I was devastated with what she was doing, and I relapsed, and I smoked about 3 or 4 or 5 points while I was down there with them. And then Michelle gets all weird when she does dope, and she's like, we gotta go, all sketched out. And I'm fine because I got ADHD, which an upper will bring me down, and a downer will bring me up. So I'm pretty calm and not elevated or speedy or anything like that, or, sketching, or I've never been like that. Even in my addictions with crack and all that stuff, I never was a fiender, tweaker, freaker, leaker, as I call them. Or looking out blinds and just weird stuff. Like, no, I'm not, I don't do that stuff. But, and I still am in my methamphetamine addiction today. I still do my work. I'm on sick leave right now, but I got good news. I've been smoking methamphetamines now for 8 years straight because of my divorce and her killing my babies and so forth. And I'm dying because of my addiction again. So I today with my coworker Kate. But she's my worker. She's my counselor. Even though I'm a counselor, every good counselor needs a counselor, everybody. So don't think we're out of the woods. And us healthcare providers, that we don't have addiction issues or our own. We're only human, right? And um, I'm the best healthcare provider in mental health and addictions that they have here in my town. So they're all pretty devastated right now that I'm out of work and I'm doing dope every day, and they see me getting high, and my addiction got really bad. Like I started shooting crystal meth and smoking it. You know, um, but today I filled out my paperwork for Bridgeway. It's in Kelowna Treatment Center where I'm going to be going, and so that'll be happening soon. So thanks everybody for watching, and if this helps anybody with your addictions, feel free to um, leave me a comment in the comments box. Subscribe to my channel. I also write cover songs. You'll see that. And I've done a video on guilt, shame, and vulnerability, and I have told a previous story of addictions and stuff like that. So, thanks.